Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to Link Up Leaders, your direct link to leaders in supply chain and e-commerce. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm your producer and co-host, and joined as always by Francois Jeffrey. Francois, how are you today, dear?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I'm running around a little bit like a chicken with my head cut off with all the things going on for this afternoon, I guess. But I am good. I think I have all my ducks in a row. I feel a little, I don't know, man. I'm such a weather driven person. You know this. Like it's way too cold. I'm just grumpy. And now that it's raining, my brain is like all foggy. It sounds ridiculous, and I know that it does, but like, oh, I just can't get it together this morning for whatever reason.
It's a mindset thing. It is what it is. I mean, I think if it's too hot for me, I guess I get grumpy. I definitely get grumpy. So I understand.
Yeah.
We're just opposites.
In a lot of ways. Yes.
Yeah, and I heard, you told me that the office is empty. Sounds like a lot of people are out sick.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of my friends are sick too. It's crazy.
I think some people are out in a preventative sense, like the studio crew. I know one of them isn't feeling so great, so they kind of just said, everybody work from home just to be safe. I'm not sure about the other half, but we've only got two.
Team.
Yeah, the logistics team. We've only got 2 cave members here today, though, just me and Seb. So it's weird, but that is kind of the nature of the end of the year, right? It's our last episode of 2021. We are closing out the year strong. I'm very excited for today's conversation. I forgot we didn't get to meet him in Miami, did we?
I think I did. I did meet him when we were at Powwow, actually. And again, shout out to Amazon Powwow. If no one is familiar with it, check out their next event, hosted by Joel Wool and his team, and eCommerce Cooperative with David Dayon and Frank Acosta. Yeah.
And lots of other partners.
Also.
We just
a lot of
can't
other partners.
Remember all the lists.
Yes. But I mean, our guest today also, I have seen him everywhere. So if we didn't meet him, I feel like I met him. And so he does an amazing job at what he's supposed to be doing for his clients also, which is SEO. And that's an amazing topic that we're having today.
Exactly. So let's go on ahead and bring him on today. We have with us Mark Casey of Mark Casey SEO. Mark, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you? I'm so excited to be like the last one to end off the year. It's like me,
Yes.
Yeah.
We're very excited.
Awesome.
Very excited. So
are you?
Were you in Miami?
I was all over. Yes, me and my team were in Miami. We were by the Sellers dinner, and we're also by the Powwow show too.
Okay, I was at Sellers dinner too.
Oh yeah, there were so many people there that like the bar just you couldn't even move.
The longest wait. Francois was waiting in lines at the airport just trying to get there, and I showed up and I'm like, this looks like a club in Atlanta pre-COVID on a Saturday night. This is crazy. I was like, I'm not even gonna be able to mingle with anybody.
It's true. There's so many people, and I think everyone was saying it'll be 50 people, 100 people, just another dinner. I walk in, there's over 250 people there. Wow.
It was insane.
And it was so nice. It was like a family, the seating was family style. And I got to meet so many people. It was fun. It was nice.
Yeah,
I wish I could have been there.
We have to go to the
next time.
One.
Yes, next one I will be there. I will get there a day early.
They're planning the next one, a little sneak peek. But yeah, I mean, and this one, is going to be much bigger, bigger than the other one. So.
Good Lord, we're going to need an atrium for it. We're going to need a stadium.
The things they pull off, though, you don't understand. The other one, whenever he said the Fuego, that's a very big restaurant. I mean, everyone knows restaurants in Miami are a thing in itself to get any reservations. But when he told me, okay, you want to do Fuego? I'm like, David, come on. And then he's like, no, I'm going to get it done. And then I see he started advertising. I was like, there's no way you got this done. And he said his whole story over on how he got that place. And the fact that they closed down a whole night of business just to host that event, that in itself is huge. So it was very impressive. It was very nice.
I put nothing past David Dayon. If he says he's going to do it, he sure does do it.
Honestly, apart from that's what I love about Amazon and the community that it's been able to build over the past decade, basically. I mean, some of these groups have tens of thousands of people, and people know each other by their first names, and it's amazing. You don't see too many other industries that are actually doing that, and not just trying to push services, like actually answering and asking questions.
Yeah, that's true.
That are relevant. Yeah.
Everyone's going through the same thing. Like, it's not like one person like everyone's going through the same battle when let's say a new rule comes out, something comes out. So like everyone helps each other. Like, I often see on like groups people ask like, oh, does anyone know, or did anyone ever get this issue before? And someone says, yes, I did A, B, and C. Like everyone's really there to like help each other out and whatnot, which is really great. But like, yeah, when a new rule gets implemented, everyone's just like there to be like, oh, how are we all gonna get through this?
Yeah, there's plenty of the pie to go around, so why not help each other?
Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm.
But how did you get into this community? How did you find your way to the world of Amazon?
Yeah, it's actually like, if you told me Amazon maybe like, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago, I'd be like, okay, just Amazon. Like my background's in marketing and branding. That's what I like to do. That's my bread and butter, I would say. Like I do that every day. So I started doing that, and then it's very funny how I stumbled upon like the connections and the people who I speak with. But I met someone, and he had a brand. I didn't know anything really about it, and he's like, "Come help us optimize our pages, Amazon, help us like to get reviews and stuff like that." I'm like, okay, what is this? Like, is this a summer job? Like, I did not take it seriously at all. So then he's like, okay, come to my office. Let's set a time and let's see if it works. So I'm like, you know what? I'm here. This is in Los Angeles. So I'm like, I'm here anyways. Let me just check it out. So I went over to the office, and then I'm like, I really thought I got the wrong building, because I thought he has an operation of like 10 people, like whatever. I walked into the building, and it's literally huge, like 500,000 square feet plus. Like, exactly. Huge office, huge everything. I go up the stairs, there's like maybe 100 employees working all in this like huge office. And I'm like, there's no way, like this guy who I spoke with, like this is his company, he wants me to like join and work with. So then I'm like, hold on. I really thought you guys had like 5 or 10 people, like a little operation. Like you guys have a huge thing running. I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Let me look into to seeing what's what. And then what's very funny is like, it was me and there's another guy who's my friend. We both came in, and he's like, he told me, I want you to intern. And he told the other guy, he was there for like 1 or 2 weeks. He paid him like $1,000. So I'm like looking, I'm an intern, not getting paid. And this guy gets $1,000 for just sitting and doing basic work. So I'm like, okay, this is like very annoying, but I'm sure he has some kind of reason or something behind it. Long story short, I started working for him a little bit. The first month, my paycheck was $750. I have it framed in my house just to like remind. Yeah, $750 for a whole month of working. Okay, not even VA's cost.
In LA.
Yeah, in LA, exactly.
LA.
Yeah. For like a coffee already cost $6. So I'm like, when I got my first paycheck, I'm like, come on, like $750. I was like, are they missing a zero or something? Like, come on. So then I'm like, whatever it is, it is. As I moved on, and then fast forward a little bit now that I see the other guy who's working with me, just like this regular, like, like crypto and real estate, like whatever. And whatever I learned was worth more than any $750. I would pay more than $750 to learn what I did there, which was awesome, which was great. So I basically picked that up, and then combining that with my marketing and my branding knowledge, and then now I picked up this Amazon. Then some people started like reaching out to me and like, hey, can you help me here? It wasn't like anything. I did not make an agency, did not make anything. So I started helping some people here and there. And then someone's like, it looks like you know some stuff. You want to speak by this event that we're having? And I love speaking to people, but not in a public audience. It's just so different of a vibe.
It's different.
Yeah, it's so different. It's like everyone just staring at you, like, what are you gonna say? Like, what's your next breath? But that's how it feels like. Really, like people don't pay attention either over the years, But so like, you want to speak? I'm like, I don't know. This is so not my thing. So I asked the guy who gave me the job, what do you think? He's like, yeah, it's great for PR. Do it. He's like, it'll be like 40 people there. I'm like, small crowd, cool. So meanwhile, I've been doing like all this like Amazon stuff. People heard my name, but they never saw my face. They don't know who I am, anything. So then they're like, okay, Mark Casey is going to be by this event. And then all of a sudden I walk into the room to speak. There's over 120 people in this small little room crowding around, waiting to hear me speak. I'm like, hold on. I'm like preparing a 40-person speech, which I'm like dying inside to do. And all of a sudden there's over 120 people. And it wasn't like anything official. It was like just give a speech. He didn't give me a podium. He didn't give me anything like I'm like you can see on YouTube. Like I look back and I just laugh at myself. Like I'm holding like a notepad, like flipping through pages, and like I feel like I'm like dying. It's like so cringy, you know. So
did you at least get a microphone, or are you standing in front of this group of people just
shouting?
Hollering?
Even worse though, not like a wireless microphone, like this. Okay, I'm like holding it. Oh my, hand-up microphone, flipping through pages, like I'm taking, like I'm like a waiter taking orders. It was so awkward, and I'm like, let me just do this. I'm like, whatever. And I was jumping around. I was so nervous. I did it fine. Then afterwards, like, and the whole crowd just started crowding around me, asking me all these questions. I'm like, okay, I'm like answering them, and then like, okay, I want to work with you. So then from there, like people started like, you can let me see what you have, like, and started working together. So then that's kind of what built it, I would say, because before that, I wasn't an agency, I wasn't anything. And fast forward to today, like all that Amazon knowledge that I had, and then also my marketing knowledge kind of combined together, we made, we created our agency, which is over like 20, 30 people today, which I'm very happy, but it just honestly came out of nowhere.
And what year was this that the agency was kind of born on accident?
I'll say around 2015-ish, because I had this agency running, but nothing was official, you know? And I was like, yeah, I do have a website. People are like, what are your website? I'm like, I don't have one. It's like, what do you mean? How are you an agency? I was like, I like working with people one-on-one. And then I created a website, and then we redesigned it. And then after like once things started getting bigger, we redesigned it again. And actually working on a whole new rebranding and redesign again because things got bigger and like, we're growing and we're helping a lot of people out. But like, it was really cool because I learned a lot of things throughout that time, that experience. Like they're a nine-figure, I forgot to mention, I don't know if I mentioned, they're a nine-figure brand. Meaning they're selling over $100 million a year. When I came in, their whole focus was just Amazon. They weren't selling in stores. They were just Amazon, maybe Walmart, eBay. Now they're in CVS, Target, Walmart, you name it. They're in retail stores. Yeah, because these stores look at your online presence and see what you got going there. And then based off that, they validate you to put you in stores. But it's been a long ride. And like looking back, like Amazon wasn't even my thing. And then like just wake up today and like Amazon's all I breathe and sleep and eat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, were you specializing when you were interning in SEO for that company?
Not specifically. They brought me in because of my marketing and branding knowledge, because I've created brands myself that are not on Amazon, just actual brands. And so they like that. They like my style. He said I was very business minded. He's like, I see a potential in you. Come work for me. Mm-hmm. And like hence even like the $750 pay, like he didn't really want to do it. He's like, let me train you because you could make something out of it. So I had no idea even what SEO was. Like honestly, Bill called me on the phone. He's like, yeah, PPC. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I go on Google, type, what's PPC? Like I had no idea what these things are. And like from there I learned, and like you make connections. Like I made a friend who's in China, and China is very big into Amazon. Like they're the one who know what to. I always say they're the next generation ahead of us. Like they're very smart with Amazon. So one person led me to another. He taught me a little bit here, taught me a little bit there, and he really started hooking me up with Amazon, like explaining to me in detail how the algorithm works and like all these small things. I'm like, these are like gems. These are golden gems, and that's how I started picking up SEO. And like a funny story is, he's like, one day he told me, he's like, I'm traveling and I have a stopover in Georgia, and I live in New York. So this was, I think, around like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. I saw his message. I literally booked a ticket for 9:30 a.m. I went to Georgia. I said, wherever you are, let's just meet. He didn't even believe in himself. Like, he didn't even know if he should come pick me up from the airport kind of type. Like, I landed, I showed him a picture. I'm here, come pick me up. He picked me up. He picked me up. We went out to a restaurant. I'm like, order whatever you want. Like, he's eating. I'm just sitting there taking notes. Like that. He's like feeling, just sitting there, alone, taking notes, everything he's saying. He's like, okay, literally, we're there for so long to like kind of like get the hell out of here. So we moved to Starbucks, and this guy was really giving me knowledge and things I haven't even heard of before, like telling me about different softwares, how Amazon works. He's like, this year, Prime Day is going to be July 27, 28. I'm like, it's like November. How the hell? Like, how do you know this? He's like, just trust me. Fast forward to July, it was literally exactly those dates. I'm like, that's insane. So I like took everything, I absorbed all that information, and still to this day, I'm so grateful to him because He hasn't ever asked me for a penny. Hasn't ever asked me for an exchange, a favor in exchange. Nothing. He just did it out of the kindness of his heart. You know, I ended up helping him with his Amazon and everything, but like I'm like that's thanks to you. I wouldn't have known these things. So it was really awesome, like to kind of like jump into SEO and you know, with meanwhile like 5 years ago before that, you haven't even know what SEO even means.
Yeah, SEO is just it's such kind of like a I don't want to say it's tricky or that it's like complicated, but I feel like there's just so much to it. Like you've got to really know what you're doing to get it right. You can't really guess at SEO. You know, you can't put
especially
answers and still ace the you know.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like that. Especially with Amazon. Like people say, are Google and Amazon SEO similar? And I say no. Like hell no. Like they're very different. Amazon has its own ecosystem. The things that how it works, I'm like, it's so complex. You have no idea. Like until I really like dug deep and like dissected it, I didn't realize like every click you do, Amazon takes into account. Every page you scroll, how long you were on the image for, like those small little things really contribute towards the algorithm and how you get displayed, you know, for different keywords and whatnot. So it's a whole different world.
Well, and you've already answered one of my questions was, is SEO for Google similar to Amazon?
Yeah, you see, I get that question all the time. I'm like, no, it's really different. Like on Amazon, you could get ranked to the first page within, let's say, a week or two, you know, depending on how smart you are and the strategies you use, or even a month, you know. On Google, it takes 3 to 6 months minimum to start seeing any results to get ranked there. So totally different ecosystem. Also, Google, there's a lot more competitors, I would say, because it's tons of just content and just information online. As opposed to Amazon, it just maybe it could be a lot of competitors, but just products. So like there's always a cap of how many products are competing against you.
Yeah, for sure, and that makes sense. Then, and in the larger ecosystem where there's more people kind of competing for it, that it would take longer to be able to get to that page one. What's like the biggest Amazon SEO mistake that you see brand owners making?
On Amazon specifically?
Yeah.
A lot of times people aren't using the right keywords or they're missing. So for example, there's something called brand registry on Amazon that gives you like more benefits and features. So one of the things that it's called A+ content or EBC, it's enhanced brand content, where Amazon gives you more like display room for like giving more designs and whatnot. So a lot of times people just put pictures there and they put the wording on the picture, but they don't realize that Amazon's it's an algorithm. You have to teach the algorithm. So when you put word on images, Amazon doesn't pick that up as SEO. So a big mistake people do, they just put up a nice design and then that's it. But I'm like, dude, you're missing half of your SEO just from the description itself, because essentially it replaces description. So they're just putting images there. But you need to have actual wording like on the listing itself. So Amazon learns, hey, this is a water bottle. This is like a cooking set. That's how you have to teach the algorithm. And especially it's something called the honeymoon period, which is basically within the first like 30 to 90 days when you launch your product, like let's say 30 days even, Amazon's learning about your product because, again, it's a system. So the keywords you put there are so important because that's how Amazon picks up and says, hey, this is your product. This is what it is. So you have to make sure you're really putting in the right keywords and you're doing the right steps. Otherwise, it's not just like putting up a product and stuff. Maybe like 10 years ago, but not now.
Well, I wanted to kind of take a step back to, I guess, your former life that gets more into branding. How important is branding, I guess, to SEO in Amazon specifically?
I don't know about SEO specifically because, I mean, look, essentially what you want is for people to start searching your brand on Amazon. And that's how it was with the other brand I worked on. No one was searching them. But now if you look at their search volume, it's pretty high because people are searching for their product specifically. That's your end goal. But something to go even deeper is very important is that you want to stand out and make sure that people know you're not a Chinese knockoff product. That's very important. And I always tell that to my clients because just coming up with a random name just because it sounds cool or just let me just slap on a name is a very big mistake. Unless you're just selling a product and you're moving on. It was very important to build a brand on Amazon that essentially you could go off of Amazon and grow it and build this thing, you know? And if your brand or if your images, your graphics, which is a whole nother topic, but if your branding is not on point, that people feel that it's just a random like Chinese company, people aren't going to buy it from you because they think it's a cheap product. Essentially, everything's coming from China, right? But it's really all on how you present yourself, how you market yourself, and how you brand yourself, like what you really stand for.
So this is kind of, we were talking to Steven Selikoff yesterday, and we were talking a lot about packaging. And I think he shot the statistic of 62% of consumers would buy products based on the packaging as opposed to searching them online or something like that. Would you say that's something similar to where like your brand really is? Okay.
100%. Like even before, when you started this question, I knew where it was going. And I'll tell you, one time I went to someone's office to consult with them. And it's like, this is our packaging. This guy showed me a brown box. I'm like, you're selling a $150 like massage gun or whatever, and you're giving it a brown box. It literally costs you $2 extra, not even, to print something on it. When people get their item, it's all about an experience. When you get an item in the mail and it looks cool and everything, it's fun, like you're happy to open it. People assimilate that experience with your product. A positive experience gives you a positive, outlook on your product. But if I'm opening something in a brown box, you just feel like this guy took it out of the shelf and just threw it at me. So he as much as I convinced him, he didn't listen. He's like, no, a brown box is okay. I said, I'm willing to make you a bet. I said, I'm willing to bet you that. I said, let's do the same exact product, same SKU, same everything. You ship your brown box. Let me design and ship you one with real, normal, nice quality packaging. He's like, deal, let's do it. We did it. Not even a month it passed. His brown box one didn't even pick up, nothing. People started getting it, whatever. The one with the nice packaging started picking up. People started recommending it. For example, when you give a gift, you want to get a gift in a brown box, or you want to get a gift with a nice packaging that stands out, looks nice. Also, you could use it on your listing to make it stand out, to show like comes with a nice quality packaging. This brand put work and time into it, not just put some crappy, brown box in.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. When something, we ordered a few things for my nieces and nephews that didn't come in a branded box, or we had to package it to ship it, and I would just put it in like an oversized Amazon box that I had. I looked at it, I'm like, this feels so cheap. Like, I feel cheap for doing this. Like, I didn't have anything else to fit.
True, yeah. I mean, it says a lot more. I've gotten packages of like luxury products, just like because when I was learning branding and marketing, to see how different brands approach it. There are brands like, obviously Gucci is like a really far example, but like even if you buy a bar of soap, they'll wrap it the same way as if you bought an $800 shoe. Because that's the experience they give off, is that like, hey, I bought this, they wrapped it nicely, they did this, the strings and that. I even got in packages one time that they even sprayed a nice perfume in the box. So when you open it up, it's like a whoosh of, fresh air and everything. Like, people go that far. So if you're not willing to spend $1 extra on each box, or even whatever, even just put your logo or branding on it, then you should rethink your strategy, because it's really important than just, putting on a design and moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that does differ though from product to product, right? I mean, if you're selling something like, I imagine pencils, if they're just standard, the Bic pencils or something similar to them that aren't Bic, I imagine you don't have to spend an extra $1 on packaging.
No, not $1. It literally costs maybe 5 to 10 cents. Just put your logo at least. You don't want even the clear packaging. You don't want to get something in the mail just clear packaging, because you just feel it's a generic product. Maybe someone drop shipped it. You don't know where it's coming from. Whenever it's branded, you're like, okay, it's this brand. They stand for something. They put their brand on it, even if you're not well known. At least make it look nice. Make it look appealing that they're getting a quality product.
Yeah. No, I get that. Now, to move forward a little bit, you started talking about brand registry, right? And I think a lot of brands have caught on nowadays to what brand registry is, what the benefits are. But can you walk us through some of the key benefits that might be overlooked by going through brand registry?
Sure. So brand registry, first of all, makes you more official on Amazon's eyes, because it shows that you're not just some random seller going to just pop up and just put a product on Amazon. It's more of, hey, this is a real brand who owns a trademark. They're legit. So that's like step one. With that comes along many different benefits and features. So, for example, like I mentioned before, the A+ content, you can add a lot more design onto your page just by having brand registry. Another example is having video. You can add a video onto your listing. If you're not brand registered, you can do that. Another thing is a storefront. You could actually create a nice storefront that's kind of like a microsite about your products and everything like that, just by having brand registry. If you don't have that, there's no storefront, which you could either cross-sell different products, and there's a whole strategy there in itself. And again, another thing is removing like unauthorized sellers. So let's say there's someone who's drop shipping your product, or found it on eBay and just wants to sell it again. Or let's say just a Chinese knockoff, like they have a similar product and they want to jump onto your listing. If you have brand registry, you could remove and protect your listing, remove those people. As opposed to any other generic listing, it's not really, like that. It's much harder to remove these people, and they could take away a lot of your sales depending on the product and on the person. So definitely a lot of features and benefits there that are strongly recommended, and it's even easier. 2 years ago, you had to have a live trademark in order to get brand registry. Then they made it that if you go through specific lawyers that are affiliated with Amazon, you'll get brand registry. Now they made it as long as you even have just a serial number, they'll give you brand registry, which is awesome. Like you could do it right away. People have to usually wait 6+ months just to get brand registry.
And where do those SEO values kick in? So you mentioned a few things: the storefront. You mentioned the A+ content. For example, the storefront. Is there any SEO value in the storefront when it comes to Amazon?
So there is not as much as the listing itself, because that's what's selling. Amazon doesn't advertise storefronts, I would say, the same way they do with listings itself. So listing is number one, most important. On storefront, there still is. A lot of times there's something called Amazon Post, where the brand gets to post things and people could follow. They made it really like a social media where if you go on brand right now on Amazon, on the top right corner, it says follow. So you could follow these brands, get notifications once they post things, and they could post a sale or something on there. So honestly, there is SEO in some aspect where you could create an audience and start your own little following there too. So that's how I say it's very important to optimize your storefront for it to look nice, and also again cross-selling products. If I'm on your product, if I'm on your listing, how am I going to know if you sell other products? Your storefront shows that's where they go and they have this. Oh, they also sell this product too. And many times people will purchase both products.
Is that where it says like frequently bought together or like?
No, so that's on a lot of times that's how it comes along, because people will visit storefront and see what else they have to offer. Especially if someone likes a brand, they're for sure gonna they already trust you. They're gonna start buying more products and whatnot, quality and So frequently bought together is on the listing itself. But the storefront itself, like if you go on an official brand and on the top where it says the brand name, you click on it, it brings you to their storefront.
Okay.
So how much, if at all, to change gears just a little bit, does the Amazon SEO affect your Google search ranking? Because I know a lot of people will go straight to Amazon to search for products, but sometimes I don't know where I want to buy it from, and I just Google it, and there's always like 2 or 3 Amazon product search results.
Exactly.
At the very top.
They do play along with each other. It does. If you optimize your listing correctly, I forgot what the name of the URL is called. But if you do things correctly, Google will start displaying your product or Amazon things when people search different keywords. And I've seen people do campaigns where they'll run ads and whatnot to get ranked for different keywords like on Google, but for their Amazon product. So let's say like best knife sharpener, your Amazon listing will come up on Google. Now you just opened up a whole new door. And then on top of that, when people write blogs, that's huge, because you can have people write blogs about your Amazon product and insert your product into those blogs. So let's say the blogs get ranked on Google with SEO, and your product is inserted in there. Then they get directed to your product just from that blog being ranked on Google.
But if your product is listed on a blog with poor SEO, that doesn't really impact your
No, it doesn't.
No,
just the blog just won't be shown, you'll find it on page 42 of Google,
Okay, but it doesn't have like a negative and like an inverse effect. Like if you were listed on, I don't know, like a spam site or like a bot site or
Amazon loves outside traffic. So if you're coming anywhere off of Amazon loves it. So they don't care. Obviously, there's different ranks of like which traffic they prefer over others, but it won't have a negative impact. No.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've sort of touched on a lot of points when it comes to SEO. And SEO, we've had the conversation even in the office. I feel like it's a very touchy subject with a lot of business owners. Where it's like, do you want to do SEO? How much are we investing into SEO? Are there other strategies that we should prioritize over SEO? But I think one conversation that the next conversation that comes after that is how do you even start to audit SEO? Like, can you walk us through the process of when you're talking with a new client? Hey, what are we looking for in SEO?
For sure.
You can just go through best practices.
All right, so there's a couple of different softwares out there, like Helium 10 and things of this, of such, that can analyze your listing and give you suggestions. So this is a whole huge topic in itself, but it falls into keyword research. You would want to either input your listing or research keywords and see if they're in your listing. So things with a very high search volume, you would want to put it in your listing either in the front end or the back end. So, for example, let's say a client approaches us and they want to optimize the listing. We would put it through one of our softwares that we use, and it basically gives you a score. So it says that, like, let's say you're selling a toothbrush. So we'll input the keyword toothbrush, we'll put their ASIN, which is their product, in there, and then it'll come back and spit a score. It says your potential score, let's say, is 200,000 of search volume. You're currently at 20,000, where you are now with all your keywords on your listing. So it shows that it's like 10% optimized, which is nothing. And sometimes I'm like shocked. Like, people have like such bare minimum listing and they're selling hundreds a day. I'm like, how the hell are you doing that? Like, you have no SEO or anything. And I'm like, now imagine if you add all these keywords, how much more your sales could be, could pick up. So then afterwards, so what we do is, though, it gives us a list of keywords that are not in their listing, and we input them. So a lot of times people say, like, oh, I went to a copywriter, I paid like $500-600 for a listing, and it sounds amazing. So I'm like, okay, but which keyword research did you do? Like, what do you mean? If it sounds good, it's good on Amazon. I'm like, no. You have to appeal the buyer, yeah, but most importantly, you have to teach Amazon what your product is, and that's through doing the keywords. So what we would do is, like, to make the listing sound good and sound amazing, at the same time, we're using all these hidden keywords to put into the listing to pick up a lot of search volume in the front end and in the back end. So once they're fully optimized, we'll even show them a screenshot. Hey, now after we did our work, it's 200,000 at 200,000. And we show them literally, like, proof of the pudding. Like, we're going through softwares. Don't take my word for it. Look at this. And all they have to do is they just copy and paste onto this thing. And people say, like, within a couple of days, obviously that's indexed, but people start already seeing results just by being indexed for keywords they were never indexed for.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're worried of messing something up and using the wrong keywords and being flagged? And are you having those conversations?
So there's never wrong keywords. I mean, Amazon has rules, yes, but there's never, like, really messing up. You're not allowed to use any adult keywords, any prohibited keywords like weed and all that kind of stuff. You're not allowed to use. So everyone knows, if you get a normal copywriter who knows Amazon, they know you're not allowed to use these words. So if you hire someone who doesn't really know the rules and they put it in there, then your listing could get taken out or flagged, yes. But honestly, if you're staying away from the prohibited keywords, you're fine. There's no negative. Even if you add a keyword, actually many times we do it in the back end of the listings, we put keywords with misspellings or like that are related but not directly related, just to be indexed for them. Because many times people type things wrong, but why not be shown for it? It's free. You're literally you're being ranked for it anyways, so you could get a sale out of that. And even just a bonus tip, what we do is we research Spanish keywords too, because you have to keep in mind, everyone's typing English, fine, but there's many people out there typing things on Amazon in America, live in America, not Mexico or anywhere else. They're typing on Amazon US, but they're typing Spanish keywords. So many people aren't thinking about that, but if you're thinking outside the box, the next step ahead, put the Spanish keywords. And we did that, and this guy started ranking for Spanish keywords, and it wasn't even in the front. You can't see it. In the back end, we're teaching Amazon, rank it for this. They started ranking, they started getting sales from Spanish keywords just by doing that. It doesn't cost them any extra to do.
Mm-hmm. Is there ever a time that you should be removing back-end keywords?
So I would say it really depends on the category, but yeah, we like to update listings we have people coming out every month to see which are the newest keywords. Every 3 months makes the most sense, because keywords are always changing. Some are getting higher search volume, some are lower. So we see all the ones that have the most potential, and then we put them in the listing.
Okay, but the ones that have low search volume, you want to keep those in still too, right? In the back end.
Yeah. I wouldn't say to give it up, but even just if you get 1% or 10% of those sales just by being indexed for it, it's a sale.
Yeah, sales is a sale. That's a good point. But what else? Because keywords obviously are a huge topic when it comes to SEO. I think that is probably one of the biggest topics. If you look up Amazon SEO, it's all about keywords.
For sure.
We're also talking about pictures and words and pictures. How does this work? I guess, like, which pictures should you be focusing on for SEO? How does that impact your SEO for the listing versus A+ content, for example?
All right, yeah. So in regards to infographics and graphics and pictures on your listing, it's not so much SEO related, but there still is impact on there. So for example, Amazon's algorithm could pick up words on a listing. What I was mentioning before is like when people do A+ content and just put words with no wording next to it, that's a mistake. If you put words, they'll maybe pick up a couple of words from the A+ content, but it's nothing compared to actually inputting real words on the listing itself. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to images, the most important thing is their main image. I have clients that spend over $10,000 just on their main image alone. And they spend months on it. Why? Because that's what tells your product. If you're not getting clicks, you're not getting anywhere. And you need to stand out. You have to keep in mind. You have someone searching up, let's say, I don't know, like anything, right? On Amazon, a water bottle. But they're seeing 40 different water bottles from the ads, and this and that. No one's going to pick on yours unless you stand out. And that's what's very important on Amazon, to stand out. Mm-hmm. That's why I came across my whole entire thing, that I stand out. I like to stand out. That's how people notice me. So that's like I compared the same thing to Amazon. There's so many other people you're competing against. If you're not standing out, you're just going to be blended into everything. So that's why your main image is so important. So at least you get step one. Step one is getting the click. Once you're on the listing, that's a whole nother ball game that you're opening up. Even just clicking on the listing, you ever go on the listing and then you look at it and then you exit, and then a couple hours later you're on a whole other website. You get retargeted right there with that ad. So Amazon loves those clicks because they're going to potentially get a sale. They're going to keep putting this product in front of you until you're like, okay, just let me buy it already, just to get them away, So they're smart with it. So a main image is very important. Only like the main reason is because you stand out, you get that click. Now, once someone does that click and they're on your listing, you have to really sell them. So, till now it was like, okay, the description was important. Then people say the bullet points. And now no one's reading your bullet points in the description. You think people have patience? People, what do they do? Whenever you go on a product on Amazon, what do you look for first?
So I just ordered 2 things last night. And the first thing that I went to was one, looking at the photos, and then 2, the reviews.
Exactly. Would you say the same?
Yeah. I don't have time for all the bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. You see, no one's reading your bullet points. You need to sell them because people are very visual. No one has time or patience to read your little stupid bullet points. People are very visual. They want to be like, okay, how long does it last for? Well, like, what are the main benefits? What are the features? What is it made out of? Boom. If you sell them through your infographics, you're done. Add to cart. Boom. Mm-hmm. Then it comes your reviews, which is a whole nother topic and everything in itself, which you really need to be optimized for reviews. That's a whole nother thing we could discuss. But mainly going back to the images, it is so important. Not only the main image, you get the click, but you need to follow them through. It's really a big funnel if you think about it, because it's searching the keyword, clicking on your listing, selling them through the infographics, and then your price has to be on point, and then your reviews. There's a lot of things. So you don't want to lose them through that funnel. So if you have good infographics and you sell them, they're premium, they look nice, they're easy on the eye, and it's appealing, people are already much more likely. They already like your product. Okay, it does what I need, boom, let me get it. Sometimes people don't even look at the product. I have clients that we've done like really, really premium graphics. They sell for $2 more than older competitor, and they have less reviews, and they sell just because it looks appealing. It looks nice, and you're like, okay, I'm getting a quality product out of it. I don't mind to spend more. So visuals are so important on Amazon. I can't even begin to express that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, what about like the alt text of the images and or the file name or the description of the photo? Okay. Does Amazon take that into account?
I don't know if you heard something about it, because I actually I spoke about it one time. I'm not sure if you saw it somewhere, but it's true. So yes, there was this trick of once upon a time, like for example, when you're naming your image on your actual computer, you name it for the keyword that you want to rank for. So that way, when you upload it to Amazon, it creates some SEO over there too. So like, let's say for example, you'll do one image like barbecue cover, and then the next one barbecue cover set, and you input that into the actual image, so Amazon picks that up. But that's funny how you randomly brought that up, because that's actually a thing.
She brings it up pretty constantly, actually, around the office. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it used to be a thing in a previous industry that I had to pay attention to. But
in your former life.
in my former life, yes. But yeah, no, you make a good point about the images. They have to be the folks that are selling it for more money, and may even have less reviews. But if they have the really quality images, because I, even as a consumer, looking through these things, it drives me nuts. And if there's a ton of misspellings in the images, in the product images, I won't buy it.
It pisses you off. You're like, okay, it's some Chinese brand that just puts it on there, it's probably a quality, but it's going to break in a month or so, like that's how you feel. Like if they even haven't, put up a nice listing. How can I trust them?
It does break my trust in the product. Even though if I think it's going to fit my need, it makes me question the quality of it. I can say that definitively. I don't know. Do you feel that too, Francois?
Somewhat. I'm very price oriented and picture oriented. So I think if the price is right, if I see it for like $13.99, everything else is $15, $16.99, I'm probably going to go with it anyways. I'm pretty cheap.
But if it's, I don't know. I'm more of a, let me spend the $16.99 if I'm going to have to buy this product one time and be done with it, rather than buying the $13.99, it breaking, and then needing the $16.99.
That's true.
I have a very short attention span. I'm probably not going to play with the thing in a month anyways.
I guess
so you see that's right. Yeah, that's how they sell you. You have to sell the consumer through the images. No one's going to take your time to read unless they're like someone who's buying a $150, $200 product and they're so into it and they're going to read the features. Yeah, fine. But, no one has the time or patience for that.
Yeah, no, very, very few items that I've ever actually read the description for.
And so a question in regards to the images and the text on images and A+ content, because I've heard this go both ways. One, that Amazon and Google do not pick up on the text in the images for SEO, and obviously the others vice versa. Have you experienced this at all? Have you tested this?
So, I've tested it in a backwards way, meaning a client comes over to us and I told them, I was like, you're missing, like, who did this for you? Because anyone knows if you're getting EBC, you need to have wording around it. That's the most important thing. So I tested the opposite way, meaning that's how much you're selling. Now let's give you your updated EBC with wording. Just even add on the bottom, just so Amazon sees it and their sales picked up. Because you're missing out on a whole bunch of keywords that are not there. So again, if you put a keyword or two, and also how many keywords can you possibly put on images? You can't really do so much. So if you're using wording on images, it'll probably pick up just by scanning the images, because Amazon's algorithm and their AI could pick that up. But it's so minimal, nothing compared to actually like the gravy, like the actual thing there. It's like putting the actual keywords there. It doesn't compare to that. So it's very, very important to add the keywords there.
But is that picked up in the images? So for example, if I have this mug and it had, a graphic that like pointed out and it said wide mouth or something, and it had, another one that said like big handle for big hands. Does it pick that kind of text up?
It picks it up just to learn more about your product, but that doesn't mean it's indexing and ranking you just because you put on the image.
Okay.
What about text on the actual product itself? So like, does that mug say something, Francois?
Yeah, it says Pittsburgh on it.
So does it actually read the text on the original image file itself?
So it does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen. I have to find this image, but I've seen an image where basically it shows what Amazon's algorithm looks like. So it like basically picks up like, okay, orange bottle or like middle-aged man. Like it knows how to read the listing of like, okay, like what it is and what it contains there. Like it picks up the wording. But again, that's Amazon's algorithm for who knows what they're using it for. It's not for SEO.
Not for indexing. Okay. And can you explain, I guess, a timeline? And everyone's timeline is going to be different. But what's sort of this average timeline to start to optimize and improve SEO? Is there like a certain, should you say like, over the course of 90 days, I've changed these keywords, I need to see how it performs? Is it a weekly? Is it a monthly?
I would say it takes Amazon's algorithm not so long to index you, or maybe around a week at most. Like the thing is, you have to start also getting like sales, so Amazon sees that you're selling and it's relevant. You can't just put like, as you're saying, a water bottle and you put like cat toy in the water bottle. It doesn't make sense. But as long as you're getting sales that are relevant, or even have one of the keywords in it. So for example, let's say barbecue, cover set, whatever. But if you ranking for keywords barbecue and you want to get indexed for barbecue cover set, the barbecue is still in there. So it still shows some relevancy. So I would say in around 30 days, you should compare it to the past and see where you're holding and ranking for these keywords. And then that's how you'll see some kind of result there.
Okay.
And is there a way to, I'm sorry, Lisa, is there a way to do like a broad versus a phrase versus an exact keyword match?
So what you can do is, like, for example, Helium 10 has a tool where you could just type in all the keywords that you want to check where you're, like, it's like a keyword tracker. So it tells you where you're ranked for, which page or which position you're ranked for that specific keyword.
Well, I guess to rephrase my question, is there a way to rank for long tail keywords?
Definitely, sure.
Okay, rather than short, just let's say barbecue. I mean, if I'm selling barbecue covers,
the long tail keywords.
Spatulas.
No, of course. So the long tail keywords are going to be easier to rank for, because there's less search volume, less competitors.
Okay.
Lisa, you had a question?
I plumb forgot it. It's gone.
Is there a, and I've heard this all over the place too. I'd love to get your take on it. Is there a certain number of keywords that you should be aiming for when you're launching? I assume anyone wants to take advantage of this honeymoon period, right? Is there a certain number of keywords that you'll want to get on the front end and back end before getting into this period?
Okay, there's no specific number of keywords, but there's so many. There's like literally 101 different ways on to launch your product. I would say it depends on the category. What a lot of people like to do, so there's it's a main question that go two ways. Do I rank for the biggest keyword first, and then afterwards rank for the smaller keywords? Or do I start off with 10 of the small keywords and then eventually rank for the bigger keyword? So the main difference between them is like the bigger keywords are going to cost a lot more through PPC and different rebates and stuff like that to kind of rank for, as opposed to the smaller ones are cheaper to do. So what I like to suggest is basically to do the small ones first, because in the small one, it's going to have your main keyword in there essentially, right? So now you're ranking, let's say, for 10 medium to small keywords. You're owning a lot more real estate, and over a month's time, the main keyword you're going to be ranked for more organically now. So let's say you're on page 7 before. After being ranked on these 10 keywords, now you're on page 3. And now the work is much less to rank your product from page 3 to page 1, as opposed to the huge keyword from page 0 to page 1.
Mm-hmm. How many keywords does Amazon have a threshold at where it considers you are keyword stuffing?
So, okay, the keyword stuffing, I mean, each description, title, bullet points has a limited amount of characters, but keyword stuffing is if you keep putting the same exact keyword in your title, bullet points, description again and again, they'll just, they'll look at it as if it's not even there, because they hate keyword stuffing. So let's say you're selling it like an iPhone case and you just keep saying iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 9, 10. You keep saying the word iPhone. They won't even give you relevancy because you just keep keyword stuffing. And it's not even smart for your listing.
Okay. Okay, so that's why it'll say iPhone 7, 8, 9. It just lists out.
Exactly. So you save more words. Exactly. I'm trying to, I'm trying to see if I could find that screenshot because it was so interesting. That shows you like the wording and everything. I mean, you could ignore me for now and continue on.
No, I mean, everything sounds like it's really just understanding the algorithm, and this is what your friend really helped you do also from China and Georgia. It's understanding what's going on in the back end, and I assume it's a lot of testing, a lot of just A/B testing. This works, this doesn't work, this is better than that, and that's really what SEO is. That's what optimization. Honestly, that's actually what optimization is.
No, yeah, it is true. So that's why you have to be on top of your game, making sure you're like ranked for the right amount of keywords and the right keywords. Like a lot of times, also a big mistake, going back to like your question you asked before, is a lot of times people put their brand name in like the first thing of their title. And actually something that many people don't know is that the first 4 or 5 keywords on your title is what Amazon gives you the most relevancy for. So in SEO, that's A. And B, when someone's looking at your title, on mobile or whatever, it shows, it doesn't show you the whole title, it shows like half or a couple of words of your title. So why are you using those first 2 keywords or first keyword on your brand name? It's not like you're Clorox and someone's searching for your brand name right now. You're a private label brand and you're not ranked for that anyway. So why would you waste that space and putting your brand name in there? Rather, you could be putting what your product is, and then people could see it much easier. When I'm scrolling, I want to see it say water bottle first. I don't want to see it saying what, like, you know, the brand name, random brand name, then water bottle. I don't care about the brand name unless it's like Contigo or like an actual brand name. So that's something that's very important that a lot of people just, I saw you were
big Contigo fans.
So that's like a lot of people have that misconception about that is like you really have to use your title clearly and like use it wisely. I mean, and not just put your brand name. Your brand name's already being displayed regardless. So why were you using it twice? You're not established like that yet, you know?
Yeah. It might be a pride thing.
Do you oh, I bet it is, yeah. Do you recommend that these Amazon business owners have a designated employee to be working on their SEO, or is it something they can kind of juggle with everything else?
It's kind of a bit of both. SEO is a little bit different than I would say like the infographics, stuff like that. For example, infographics, you could have a graphic designer in-house. When it comes to SEO, there's a lot more involved. So that's things that like a lot of times people don't hire an in-house person to work on it full-time for the SEO. It doesn't need to be worked on full-time always. Or it's like, okay, let's just write 5 blogs and get it out there, but you're going to be good for some time. So when it goes to PPC or advertisement, then that's something that someone should have in-house for and hire. When it comes to SEO, it's a little bit different because, like, for example, one way of ranking a product is by doing rebates and doing coupons and stuff like that. So you don't have those resources in-house. That's a lot of times why you would hire a company to help you do that, where they have the resources and you just hire them once or twice and do it for you, as opposed to someone sitting in-house, and most likely what they're going to do is you're going to pay them to hire the other guy to rank your product. So for SEO, it's a little bit different. Not many people work in-house for SEO, but when it comes to design, I've seen it much more than to be ranked there.
Okay. So it's kind of a sliding scale of how much time needs to be spent on SEO then, a monthly, weekly, daily.
So it depends how many listings you're launching and whatnot. Like if you're doing one a month, 2 a month, okay, maybe. But like if you'll do one every 6 months, not worth it for them. Because you also want to make sure you have someone who's good in SEO and copywriting, that they're writing a solid, good listing with all the keywords you need in there.
Okay.
And have you had any studies done how SEO impacts PPC? I know earlier you talked, and we've heard it a lot about this halo effect, right? How everything sort of just ties together, and SEO can be a huge proponent to just bumping you, let's say, from page 7 to page 3, and then using PPC maybe to bump you up to page 1 too. Is there some sort of statistic or data out there about how it is helping reduce those costs?
So I'm not sure. I'm sure there is data, but it definitely does help, because first of all, if you're indexing for these keywords organically, then PPC is going to be much easier for you, and your A cost is going to be lower. I'm not a master in PPC. I don't even offer it because it's just a whole world in itself. But it definitely works hand in hand with SEO. If you're ranked for these keywords nicely, the PPC wouldn't cost so much. You don't even need to spend so much on PPC to push your listing up and advertise it more, because you'll be ranked organically, and essentially you don't even need to pay for PPC on that keyword. So if you're ranked organically, and you're ranked very nicely by doing the proper SEO, you don't even need to pay for PPC because you're there. Why are you going to advertise twice?
That makes sense. Do you ever plug in keywords that are different than what's being advertised on the listing? And what I mean by that, and we talked to someone about this a few months back, but let's say you have multiple uses for something. Let's say it's I don't know. We have something that you could use for, let's say, moms use it for their children. And then you also have elderly folks that are using it in their nursing homes. Are there different types of scenarios that you could plug those keywords in the back end?
Yes, there are. So I have a couple of clients who do that. And one person that came with me is like, I have a very smart idea. He's like, all my competitors are going after this keyword, but really my product could be used by someone else in a different category. So I target those keywords because essentially it solves their need, but they're not thinking of it. So if someone searches a solution for whatever and they see my product, oh, okay, it could work, but no one thinks about it as a first option. So yeah, definitely a lot of people target different keywords that are not specifically about their product. It's similar, and that way you could still get the sale if it's relevant. I wouldn't say if it's not relevant, don't just do it for fun. It has to make sense to the product too.
Yeah.
But is that even if your listing is targeting, let's say, the same as everyone else is targeting, but it still solves that other solution, or that solves the other problem?
That's exactly what he did. He had all his competitors going, but his competitors weren't thinking about advertising on the other keyword. So that's what he did, and he actually got a majority of his sales from there.
Oh, okay.
And as we kind of come to the end of the episode, what would be your one piece of advice for Amazon sellers as they're working on their SEO or beginning to want to focus on SEO in 2022?
So I would say don't rush things. Actually take the time and invest time, effort, and money in getting a proper listing up. Just by putting up a listing, it doesn't make sense. Especially, don't just put up a listing and then work on it later. Every second your product is there, once it goes live, Amazon takes into consideration. And your first 30 days are the most important. It's really however new your listing is, but the newer the better. But the first 30 to 60 to 90 days are the most important. Obviously, sooner being more important. So don't just sit around and be like, oh, I'll just do this later. Make sure you have a plan and a strategy of okay, hey, this is going to go live on the 20th. We already have our copywriting set. We already have our keywords that we want to go after. We have our graphics, we have photography, we have our imaging done. And this is our strategy to open up this listing. If you do that, your listing will pick up much more than someone who's like, okay, we'll do it. We'll see how it picks up. Maybe we'll go organically, and then maybe we'll try some PPC. And then like, if this image doesn't work, we'll try that. Like, no, you have a proper plan and do things right. You know, they say like measure twice and cut once, because like, you know, you don't want to basically work on it twice. Just measure twice, do the right thing, do the work from before, and then you get the right result right off the bat.
And for anybody interested in working with your agency, is there a specific size, like ideal client profile that you guys have?
So what we find best is someone who's already selling on Amazon. Like we really have people who are 6 figures and 9 figures, like I mentioned before. So just like, you know, that we see as complementary is that someone who's already selling on Amazon and who has that knowledge, and we can definitely help boost their sales and create new listings.
Okay, awesome. And then where can they find more information about you guys?
Well, don't be shocked by this, but if you go on AmazonSEO.com, that's how I mean, MarkACSEO.com is your actual website, but we worked our magic to get AmazonSEO.com. So that's we own that. That's just
SEO.com.
That's like my claim to fame. Yeah. So that itself, I'm sure you could guess how much SEO that's getting us.
Yeah.
I'm sure a ton. Well, Mark, thank you so much for spending so much time with us today.
Yeah.
I spent so much time. It feels like it's been more time than I had.
I know, because we're having fun.
So much, and there's so much information. I mean, it's so useful, I think, to so many sellers. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I love doing, like, I speak. So I've been around the world just speaking about the algorithm, about everything. And each topic could be spoken about for hours, really. Like, this was just like a touching base on each thing. But like, I've done a seminar that was 4 hours long of just me speaking. Like, and even like I ran out of breath, you know? Yeah. And that was all just talking about like Amazon and all the algorithm and what Amazon looks for in the algorithm and how could you play along with the algorithm, and so much so. Like, it's, I do this often, so it's my bread and butter. But yeah, there's a lot about Amazon, and you know, we learned that over time, and I love sharing it.
Well, we appreciate you sharing with us, and we'll have to catch up with you at the next sellers dinner.
Yes, for sure. Yes. Hopefully it'll be soon, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll have a live podcast from the sellers.
I would love that.
We're holding you to that.
That's fun. Yeah, okay, fine. Sounds good. Bring your camera. I'll go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. And thank you to everybody who tuned in live. And if you're listening after the fact, if you guys liked what you heard today, be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment with your thoughts, share with your friends, subscribe to the show, ring the bell for notifications, and turn on those automatic downloads. That way you guys never miss an episode where we speak with leaders in supply chain and e-commerce, like Mark Casey with Mark Casey SEO. And Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes.
Last episode of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.